developing drugs, and a lot of them don't work. But you know what? There's faith underneath this, that this is the right way to do it, and that good things will happen. And when it comes to getting involved in these e-strategies, you have to have an element of saying, you know what? It's the right thing to do. We're going to get in there, and we're going to develop, and we're going to evolve, and we're going to learn, just like we do when we make new drugs.
And by the way, if you do make that commitment on your treatments and the development side, you know, you better have a good strategy to then inform patients that it now exists. And I cannot think of a better media than social media for that, because that's where patients go to say what treatments are available where. And it's highly targeted. If you go onto a site, again, like Patients Like Me, you have 20,000 MS patients on that site. I don't think there's any other media today where you can be that targeted and that sure of your target audience.
All right, so all things being equal, you have, what's the easiest, in 30 seconds or less, easiest place to start social media-wise? You get to go first because you're closest.
20 seconds.
Easiest?
Yeah. Define easiest however you want, but
Boy.
you can say pass, but we'll all snicker. See?
I'm going to say I'm not going to say easiest. I'm going to say that my most recommended place for any pharma company to start is to have a blog. And on that blog, to begin to communicate your company story, your company news, and to begin to pull in potential other assets like videos or Twitter or whatever. But a blog is very safe. You can moderate comments, you can control the message, but you can start to get out and interact with people. And if any pharma company doesn't have a blog nowadays, and a lot of them don't, I can't see how there's an excuse for that. You've got a lot to say. It needs to be said by you, not have somebody else tell the world who you are and what you are.
That's good. Also acceptable. Best place to start. Easiest or best?
Okay.
Not always the same thing.
Right.
Easiest and best is the disease area that's most life impacting to your patients and that's most active online because of it, and to listen to them, get to know who's speaking, who are the most influential voices, and start reaching out and talking to these advocates and ask them, what can we do for you?
So you're saying just go to a community that's already existing and just kind of be a fly on the wall?
Know who is out there talking about your disease, if they are, and it really depends on the disease. Is it life impacting? Is it chronic? Is you know, like if it's a cancer, if it's multiple sclerosis, you know, that's a no-brainer. They'll be there and they'll be talking about your product. If it's toe fungus, then, you know, maybe not the right place to start.
I guess I'd have to agree with Steve, but it's not, you know, it's not going to be easy until, I guess, it gets back to wanting to have this conversation with your clients or with consumers. I can't tell you how many times I've, you know, posted a message to a blog that never got a comment, that never got posted, and I'm not talking about what I might write on Side Wiki, but, you know, some legitimate comments. A drug company started a new blog and was talking about how they support healthcare reform, yada, 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 and, you know, it's a blog. So I asked the question, simple question, does this mean you support the public option? I just wanted a simple answer to a very maybe controversial issue.
Not a simple question. Yeah.
It's a question. They brought up the subject of healthcare reform. I mean, that's what everybody's talking about. But they are not responding. They are not sending me a personal note saying, gee, I wish we could post your comment, but, you know, we hate the public option and we don't want to say it publicly, or, you know, we don't want to get into that conversation. Nothing. So you can't just start a blog and not expect to have some kind of conversation. But the other aspect is, what do you put on that blog? Again, if you're going to try to do branded messaging, and I mean, it's not going to be too popular. And I think the most popular one so far is J&J, by the way, by Mark.
It's the only one.
Probably.
Plenty more.
And he's trying to get more of the people that work for J&J to contribute to his blog, which I think makes it much more interesting. You're talking about telling a story. There are people inside your organization that could tell a story. You know, they go around the world and they try to do good things, and we never hear about it. And I think, you know, that could be a good focus for a blog. Of course, you're always worried about, you know, giving control over content to your employees, but if you can't trust them, I mean, you know, you have a real problem. If you can't trust your own employees, you've got a problem.
I definitely think I would agree with the easiest route to getting involved in social media would involve some of those more controlled environments, like a YouTube or blog or Facebook page, where you can moderate comments, even pre-moderate comments. That's the easiest route. It's not always the best. And I would say the best is what's best for your brand. Look back at your objectives and your strategies. What are you trying to achieve? And that's where really where it should be driven from. Not just saying, I want to do social media, what's the easiest way, or what's the best example out there, is really what are you trying to do with it?
How are we doing on time?
One more question from the audience, I think. Anyone?
Is there one? That's fair. You don't get a second book, though. Yes.
This may just be a really dumb question. I was just trying to figure this out. You guys talked about, if you don't want to answer this is fine. I feel stupid, but
I volunteer
This-
Steve to answer it. I don't
Okay,
even know
this-
what it is.
this
You should
side
answer
wiki,
it, John.
side wiki, which is the first time I've heard that today. I'm trying to figure out how to find it and see if there's comments on websites, and I haven't figured it out. So
Cool. It's working exactly as we hoped.
if someone could give a tutorial, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Maybe there's others who don't.
Yeah. Do you have the Google
Google
toolbar
toolbar.
installed already?
I just went online and they said you don't need the toolbar. I think 6 days ago, you don't need the Google toolbar anymore.
Oh, God.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I found something new for you. But I still haven't figured out how to use it.
I'm not sure how it would work then, but
Did you install it?
We're used to the toolbar.
yeah.
Eileen will fix it for you. This may be a pipe dream, but going back to something we really started with, I would love to see a session where a bunch of executives from pharmaceutical companies, VP level and above, just sat down all together, invited a bunch of patients, patient advocates, patient bloggers, maybe some key physicians, and had a 2-day conference where the agenda was 2 questions only. What do you need, and how can we help? And I think that would do more than anything for creating really good applications in the future, but it has to start there. It has to start with high-level people in the pharmaceutical company saying, we are totally all in, invested in helping you folks now that these channels are open. How can we do it? That would be way better than the FDA meeting coming up next week. And I don't know if it's realistic to think it would happen, but boy, I'd love to see that happen. And I'd love to see those guys have only those 2 questions on the agenda, and everything comes from the gathered audience.
I think you're gonna make me cry.
Either that or you can organize.
You guys hug it out. All right.
Okay, I'll organize it.
Any last comments? 10 seconds or less? Anything that's poignant at Steve's? He's a tough act to follow. All right. Thanks to the panel. Appreciate it. Thank you for the questions.